This video was made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. You guys are the best. Hello everyone and welcome to another EDH gameplay video brought to you by Affinity for Commander. My name's Martin.
And my name is Alex.
Today's video has everything you could ever want. Cats, tentacled monstrosities, a blood-crazed angel, and a subtle tribute to a sci-fi icon. So without further ado, let's take a peek at those opening hands. My commander is Feldon of the Third Path. I keep an opening hand containing Cathartic Reunion, Wild Guess, Ever-Flowing Chalice, Grimoire of the Dead, Trading Post, Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, and a mountain.
My commander is Arahbo, Roar of the World. My opening hand consists of Sacred Cat, Initiate's Champion, Stoneforge Mystic, Pride Sovereign, Gavany Township, Canopy Vista, and a Plains.
Tom is playing his Lin Sivvi Defiant Hero deck, the leader of which he has had altered to resemble a certain rebel princess. He keeps an opening hand of Sensei's Divining Top, Worn Power Stone, Smothering Tithe, Mystifying Maze, and 2 Plains.
And finally, Thomas's commander is Archangel Avacyn. His opening hand is made up of Hushwing Griff, Varin Wingmere, Dampening Sphere, Kismet, 2 Plains, and a mountain.
I win the die roll and start things off by playing a mountain. I then pass to Thomas.
Thomas also plays a mountain and then ends his turn.
Alex plays a Plains and then casts Sacred Cat. What a perfect turn 1 play.
Tom plays Mystifying Maze and then casts Sensei's Divining Top. He then passes the turn.
I play a mountain and then cast Wild Guess. I discard Mere Battlesphere, draw 2 cards and then pass to Thomas.
Thomas plays a Plains and then casts Dampening Sphere. He then ends his turn.
Alex plays a Forest and then moves to combat. He targets his cat with his commander's Eminence ability and attacks me with the Swole Kitty. I take 4 damage, Alex gains 4 life, and Alex moves to his second main phase. He casts Initiate's Companion and then passes to Tom.
Tom plays a Plains and then passes the turn.
I play a mountain and then cast my commander, Feldon of the Third Path, and then end my turn.
Thomas plays a Plains and then passes to me.
Alex moves straight to combat, targeting his Sacred Cat of Arahbo's ability once more. He sends both of his cats at me once again, and I take 7 damage and Alex gains 4 life. Raise your hand if you've ever felt personally victimised by Alex. He misses his companion's untap trigger and moves to his post-combat main phase, where he plays Canopy Vista. Alex then casts Pride Sovereign and passes to Tom. Tom responds by activating his top, rearranging the top 3 cards of his library before moving to his turn.
Tom plays a Plains and then casts his commander, Lin Sivvi Defiant Hero. We all press F to pay respects to the late Carrie Fisher, and then Tom ends his turn.
I play Shrine of the Forsaken Gods and then cast Faithless Looting. I draw 2, discard 2, and then pass to Thomas, who responds by flashing in Hushwing Griff. Not liking the sound of this, I respond by activating Feldon's ability, making a copy of the Mere Battlesphere in my graveyard. I make 4 1/1 Mere tokens, and Thomas then moves to his turn.
Thomas plays a Plains and then casts Kismet. Martin cries as this completely ruins his deck's primary strategy, and Red is not known for being able to deal with enchantments. Oh dear. Thomas then passes to me, and Martin sacrifices his Battlesphere copy, given that this is the first end step that it has seen. I then move to my turn.
Alex plays Sandstone Bridge, giving his Pride Sovereign +1/+1 and Vigilance until the end of turn. Moving to combat, Alex gives his companion +3/+3 with his commander's ability, attacks Thomas with his Sovereign and Tom with the aforementioned companion. No blockers are declared, and Alex exerts his Sovereign to make 2 1/1 white cat tokens of lifelink, giving the Sovereign an extra 2 power. Both Tom and Thomas take 6 damage, and Alex untaps Pride Sovereign with Initiate's Companion's ability. The value is unreal! Satisfied with his feline army, Alex passes to Tom.
Tom plays a Plains and then passes the turn.
In my turn, I cast Chaos Warp, targeting Kismet. Tom shuffles the pesky enchantment into his library and reveals the top card of his library to be a Plains. A fair trade in my opinion. Next I play a mountain and then end my turn.
Thomas plays a Plains and then casts Varin Wingmere, because the board needs more oppressive stack cards. Thomas then passes to me, and I respond by exerting Pride Sovereign, creating 2 more cats, and then proceed to my turn.
Alex plays Gavany Township and then casts Skullclamp. He equips Skullclamp to one of his cats, which dies, and Alex draws 2 cards. He He then moves to combat, targeting Initiate's companion with his commander's ability, and attacks Thomas with the now 6/4 kitty. Thomas raises Pegasus under the Pussycat, and Alex then moves to his second main phase. He sacrifices another cat to Skull Clamp, drawing 2 cards, and equips the clamp to Pride Sovereign before passing the turn. Tom responds to this by activating his commander's ability, where X is 3. Thomas then responds to this by flashing an Avon Mind Sensor, allowing Tom to only search the top 4 cards of his deck. This course of action is politely referred to as a Richard manoeuvre, and Tom fails to find a rebel with 3 CMC or less in the top 4 cards of his library. Feeling ever so slightly salty, Tom moves to his turn.
Unable to use his commander's ability to their full extent, Tom casts Smothering Tithe, and then passes to Martin.
I don't pay 2 for Tom's Smothering Tithe, and he subsequently creates a treasure token. I then play a mountain and cast Ever-Flowing Chalice. I kick the cup 3 times, putting 3 charge counters on it, and then end my turn.
Thomas draws, and Tom makes a treasure. Tom then plays a Plains, and cycles Secluded Step. Tom creates another treasure, and then Thomas passes the turn.
Alex doesn't pay the Smothering Tithe tax, and Tom makes a treasure. Alex then plays a Plains and casts Herald's Horn, naming Cat. Moving to combat, Alex targets Initiate's companion with Arahbo's ability. He attacks Thomas with the kitty cat, and Thomas flashes in his commander, Archangel Avacyn. Sadly for Thomas, Avacyn's Enter the Battlefield ability is negated by his own Hushwing Griff, and so Thomas blocks the attacking cat with Avon Mind Sensor. Alex then passes to Tom.
In Tom's upkeep, Archangel Avacyn transforms into Avacyn the Purifier. Each other creature, Martin, Tom and myself, are dealt 3 damage, clearing the board of everything except for the blood-soaked angel. How fitting. I then draw 2 cards thanks to my Skull Clamp, and Tom makes 2 more treasure tokens before passing the turn.
I draw for my turn, Tom makes a treasure, and I play a mountain. I then end my turn.
Thomas pays 2 when he draws, preventing Tom from making another treasure. He then plays Clifftop Retreat, and then casts Gideon, ally of Zendikar. Thomas uses Gideon's 0 ability, creating a 2/2 Knight ally token, and then moves to combat. He attacks me with his commander, and I respond by flashing in Set's Tiger. I choose to gain protection from red until the end of turn, preventing Avacyn from dealing me any damage. Unable to do anything else, Thomas passes the turn.
Alex chooses not to reveal the top card of his library as per his Horn's ability, and also chooses not to pay for Tom's Smothering Tithe tax. Tom makes a treasure, and Alex casts Felidar Cub before attaching his Skull Clamp to the poor little kiddie. Next, Alex casts Leonin Shikari and moves to combat. He uses Arahbo to give his Tiger +3/+3 and then attacks me with the Feline. Again with the unjustified hate. This time I'm prepared though and flash an Ancient Stone Idol. I block the Itty Bitty Kitty with my Golem, and Alex responds by moving his Skull Clamp over to the Tiger, which he is able to do thanks to his Leonin's ability. The Tiger dies, Alex draws 2 cards, Tom makes 2 more treasures, and Alex then ends his turn. Tom responds by casting White Sun Zenith where X is 11. Oh boy. He makes 11 2/2 cats, putting Alex's cat deck to shame, and then proceeds to his turn.
Tom does nothing in his turn. He literally draws a card and then passes to Martin. Not suspicious at all.
I draw a card, Tom makes a treasure, and I play a mountain. I then cast It That Betrays, and Alex responds by moving his Skull Clamp over to his Felidar Cub. He then sacrifices the cub to destroy Tom's Smothering Tithe, drawing 2 cards in the process. Tom makes 2 treasures, given that Alex would have drawn the 2 cards before the Felidar Cub's ability resolves, and my monstrous Eldrazi finally enters the battlefield. I then move to combat, attacking Alex with my Idol. Alex declares no blocks, takes 12 damage, and I pass to Thomas.
Thomas casts Harsh Mentor, and I respond by equipping Skull Clamp to Leon and Shikari. Thomas then activates Gideon's 0 ability, making a 2/2 Knight ally, and moves to combat. We all debate as to who is currently the biggest threat, and Thomas decides to attack me with Avacyn, dealing me 6 damage. He then passes the turn.
Alex once again chooses not to reveal the top card of his library and plays Ancient Den. He then casts Pure Steel Paladin, and Tom responds by activating his Divining Top, rearranging the top 3 cards of his library. Tom takes 2 damage from doing this thanks to Harsh Mentor, and Alex then casts Behemoth Sledge, drawing a card from his Paladin. Alex equips the sledge to his Leonin for free with his Paladin's ability, loses 2 life to the Mentor, and then casts Balin, Wandering Knight. Moving to combat, Alex uses his commander's Eminence ability on his Leonin and then sends it at Gideon. Thomas declares no blockers, Gideon's loyalty hits 0, and Alex gains 8 life thanks to his creature's lifelink. Alex then ends his turn.
Tom begins his turn by asking Martin if he is planning on attacking him with It That Betrays next turn, and Martin makes it known that his retaliation against me is not yet over. How rude. Tom then uses his top to draw a card, losing 2 life and putting the top on top of his library. He then plays a Plains, recasts his commander, and passes to Martin.
I move straight to combat, attacking Alex with the Ancient Stone Idol and It That Betrays. Alex responds to my Eldrazi's Annihilator trigger by moving his equipment over to Balin, losing 4 life to Harsh Mentor. He then sacrifices Leonin Shikari and a Plains, and I return both cards to the battlefield under my control. Alex then blocks It That Betrays of Balin, who is now a 6/4 with double strike and lifelink. He loses 12 life from the unblocked Golem, gains 12 life from his Cat Knight, and draws 2 cards from Skullclamp. In my post-combat main phase, I cast Artisan of Kozilek, using its Enter the Battlefield trigger to return It That Betrays to play. Can't get rid of it that easily. I then pass the turn.
Thomas plays a Mountain, and then passes to me.
Alex reveals the top card of his library to be Stalking Leonin, which he puts into his hand before drawing for his turn. He then plays a Forest and casts a Leonin that he just put into his hand, secretly choosing a player. I wonder who that could be. Next, Alex casts Stoneforge Mystic and searches his library for Sword of Light and Shadow before putting it into his hand. He then embalms a Sacred Cat in his graveyard, creating a 1/1 zombie cat token with lifelink. Alex then discards onto 7 and ends his turn.
Tom draws the Divining Top that we all knew was on top of his library, and then casts it. He then asks Martin once more if It That Betrays is coming this way anytime soon, and Martin assures him that it is not. Satisfied with the answer, Tom passes the turn.
I cast Duplicant, exiling Alex's Stalking Leonin with his Enter the Battlefield trigger. Moving to combat, I attack Alex with my Idol and my Artisan, and Thomas with It That Betrays. Thomas sacrifices 2 Knight tokens, and Alex sacrifices his Cat token and a Forest, the latter of which is returned to the battlefield under my control. Thomas then blocks It That Betrays' Avacyn, and Alex declares no blockers, taking 22 damage. Ouch! In my second main phase, I cast Trading Post, and then pass to Thomas, who responds by flashing in his commander before moving to his turn.
Thomas starts his turn by cycling Drifting Meadow, and then plays a Mountain. He then moves to combat, attacking me with Avacyn, dealing me 4 damage before ending his turn.
Alex chooses not to reveal the top card of his library, and uses Stoneforge Mystic's ability to put Sword of Light and Shadow onto the battlefield. He loses 2 life to Harsh Mental, and then loses a further 4 life to equip the sword and sledge to Pure Steel Paladin. And that's what I call a risky play. Next, Alex casts Shield of the Oversoul, targeting his Paladin. He then moves to combat and attacks me with his flying, hammer and sword wielding indestructible Paladin. I take 6 damage, Alex gains 6 life from the creature's lifelink and a further 3 from his Sword of Light and Shadow. Alex also returns Pride Sovereign to his hand as a result of the sword's second ability, casts Sigarda's Aid and passes to Tom. Tom responds by activating his commander's ability, where X is 3. He takes 2 damage and puts Mirror Entity into play. Didn't see that coming. Tom then proceeds to his turn.
Tom plays a Plains, and then activates Mirror Entity's ability, where X is 9. He takes 2 damage and then moves to combat, absolutely annihilating the rest of us with his army of 9/9 cats. Meow.
Well, that's it for another game. We certainly underestimated Tom's janky rebel deck. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and feel free to check out our Twitter and Patreon. Links are in the description. We'll see you next time.